it's Guy Eagle here again with Renewable Wisdom Trails, Cosmology and Library. And once again, we're just speaking to some of the questions and comments that are coming our way. And we've got a lot of them to cover. And one of them that keeps coming up is, how do I start these conversations with my friends, and how do I know if it's going to work, or there's just a lot of people that keep their secrets secret, even from their partners, their mates, because they don't want to be discouraged or rejected or be ashamed, and they want to fit in, and maybe it's because of their money or their jobs or whatever. But I've had a lot of folks that have been in the business of transformation for 25, 30 years and come to have a conversation because they don't dare have it with their husband. It's kind of crazy making that we've grown into keeping these kind of secrets. And one of the biggest challenges that we've spoken about is using the same word, whether you're speaking from your personal individual or the collective consciousness of your first circle. And a friend of mine just recently talked about an exercise that I challenged her to go do not too long ago. And it's about going out in nature and try to find some place where there's the wild laws of nature are still in place. Because if you do it in a domesticated garden, it isn't going to work. Or in a domesticated park. You want to have some wildness around, where the animal world or just the natural habitat can intervene, and you have to pay attention. But the exercise is about finding a deer trail or something similar, an animal path, and walk off the path like you are a deer. And just pay attention how long it takes you to walk with pride, like you are part of, and your thinking is to make sure the trees are behind you. Don't stand in the open. Always kind of be camouflaged. Stop when you reach a meadow and look around to see who's hunting in that meadow. Is the hawk sitting on a tree waiting for a groundhog to come up? What are they doing? Am I intervening, or am I just so important that I can go do anything? Act like an animal. Work it. Watch the humans. If there are other humans in the area, watch how they're walking by. But be part of the first circle. Be part of their laws, how they act, how they move, how cause and effect plays out. Because if you just walk into a meadow where there's hunting going on, you're causing all the animals to quit what they're doing and go away and find another day or another hour to hunt or get fed or whatever they're doing. You're causing that effect on the meadow when you walk into it without consciousness or awareness. And then when you've had some time with that and you really start to feel that, like you have to be a little protective of what you're walking into. There may be a bear around the corner. There may be a snake, a poisonous snake. You have to watch where you step. You have to make sure that the cactuses aren't throwing some Sharpies at you. You have to watch for, walking up against a yucca plant and slicing your arm open. You got to think like you're part of the natural world, and where you're leaving your scent and your tracks. But then come back to wherever you started, and then go down a modernized trail, whether it be a sidewalk, or maybe it's a paved highway in the woods, or maybe it's just a walking trail that's made for humans. And walk there and just see if you can notice the difference. There's a lot of differences that I pick up on that you may not. I don't know. But one of the things, if I'm walking down a human trail, I'm often processing a lot of human thoughts, a lot of human interpretations, a lot of issues. And most of the time I think they're from me, but they're not. They're just been on the trail from others that have walked by there. I'm picking them up and I'm making them my own, because that's the way I am. I'm thinking only myself. So everything I pick up in the air and off the land is about me. I have to work to catch it. Once I catch it, then I can stop it and try to let go and just enjoy my surroundings. But it's not easy because there's a lot of secrets out there. But that exercise can really help you start to separate out the two different viewpoints. And it's a good exercise, and it's a strong set of skills you can develop from that. Because it's full of sensory perceptions. What are sensory perceptions? They're like to be able to smell like the dogs, to see like the eagle or the hawk. To expand your senses beyond being numbed out to just a third dimensional world. These senses can pick up a lot more than what you think we're capable of. There's other parts to this. The main point is to get the conversation started with your friends. Ask questions, learn how to respond to when somebody challenges you or gets really angry at your position. Nobody likes to be stood up to they don't know things. They don't want to feel ignorant. They don't want their secrets exposed. And yet they do. They want to learn. They just don't want to be embarrassed by learning. Those are common emotions that I run into. So that leads into another thing. If you are going to step into a transformational journey or start exploring the great mystery of life, where you learn to ask the questions that are not often asked, but you've been carrying them, protection, the word protection comes into play. And you see this in a lot of religious denominations. They have deities for protection. They have tools that are artifacts for protection. We see it in the everyday life these days with our cell phones and stuff. We have the Fahrenheit containers, so your credit card theft can't happen, or your identity theft. Everything is about protection. And what is protection? Is fear. You only need protection if you're afraid. So that's the first thing you have to admit to yourself, is what you're afraid of. And then you can start working with the fear and add something to kind of manage that, to help, a tool to help manage that fear till you get to the other side of it. Till you learn where that's stored in your body and how long it's been there. Tools are great, but if they become a different addiction, that you have to have them, then it's a problem. Back in the 70s and 80s, we had a big movement that was going on with alternative medicine. And one of the big things we were finding at the time is they were given Valiums for everything. Valiums. It was an antidepressant. And it was supposed to be a management tool, but pretty soon everybody just had a steady subscription of it. I mean, it was unbelievable. When they're doing it today too. Meds for life. It's not a management tool anymore. It's meds for life. This is a problem. The old Wiccan tradition used to use mirrors. They used to have the people imagined with visualization, mirrors around their energy field, so everything would reflect away, like having aluminum foil around you. That worked for a long time for those people until they realized that by reflecting it back onto somebody, it doubled its charge or its energy, and it created more problems than it solved. So I don't know if they're using that tool anymore. A real good one in our common society is roses. Roses have a real high decibels per second frequency, and they will absorb different energies and thought forms that are out of balance. They will harmonize an area real fast. Rose oil works. It's very expensive though. But even just a couple roses, if you go get a bunch of roses, like a half a dozen roses, and place them in different places in your home, the one that dies the most first is usually the place where you're processing information the most, because it'll absorb it and just take it with it as it dies. That's kind of an investigative tool, but it's also protection. Some people use Smudge, which is a big one. The only problem with Smudge, it can clean out an area and neutralize it, but it cannot override contracts. Now, contracts we're going to get into later on in some of our series, but basically, if you have a contract to learn something from somebody or something, the Smudge can't take that away. The contract has to be broken before the energy of the area can clear. So the contract of a person or individual is made will supersede any of the incense or the smudge. You may get some temporary relief, but it'll come back shortly. Protection is needed as a stage of transformation, but you got to be careful not to let it become mandatory to your journey. It's a tool. I think I tied a lot of things together there, and hopefully I've given you some insights into it. To go any further really gets into the personal therapies and start to break it down, and we're really not trying to do any of that here. We're just trying to give you what we've learned. So, as always, there might be something to it. I hope